and 7 Spanish angels took another angel home.
Hey, I'm Willie Nelson, and you're watching HempRock TV.
We don't run, and we don't compromise, we don't quit, we never do.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Master Sergeant Thomyv Vance, the voice of Freedom Voice. Tonight, let's talk about Putin's war. Putin's an old KGB guy. He was running the KGB, working with them his whole career. Basically, they forced Yeltsin out. I'm of the theory that Yeltsin's alcoholism definitely contributed to the fall of the short-lived democracy that was going to be Yeltsin's Russia, and we ended up with Putin's Russia. Now, Putin's Russia is hell-bent on reclaiming the glory of the old Soviet Union and all those states that they controlled and people they could tell what to do. And he would like to recreate that. He wants a border of satellite states, whatever you want to call it, between him and the West. And as a dictator, and he is a dictator, Duma signs off on anything he says, and if they don't, they disappear. Trust me. But he wants to recreate the old Soviet Union. That's the same kind of stuff he did in Georgia, trying to get Georgia back in. You know, you can't have a free country on the border of an unfree country, because the people who are unfree are going to see that freedom and they're going to want that. And that's going to cause you problems if you're a dictator. Now, you know, right now, 180,000 troops on the border in the north, the south, and the west, or the east of Ukraine. He wants to retake Ukraine. He wants to make Ukraine another satellite state of the old Soviet Union, like the old Soviet Union had. You know, but it's his intentions are obvious when he sits there and says we have to protect the Russian-speaking people in the Donbass and the Luhansk areas, those 2 areas in eastern Ukraine that he's already got. They sent people in there to fire up all the Russian-speaking people there to want to separate themselves from Ukraine and fall under Russian domination, although Putin just declared them free countries, like he's got the power to do that. But we have to protect the Russian-speaking people in the Donbass. We have to protect them in eastern Ukraine. From what? From the citizens of Ukraine, the majority of citizens of Ukraine turning to the West and freedom rather to the East and dictatorship and Putin's dictatorship? That should be no-brainer. If Russia wasn't a kleptocracy, if the people in charge of Russia, people who are running Russia, weren't ripping off the people of Russia, they could be a great country. But they'll never be a great country as long as they're a dictatorship or a kleptocracy. The corruption runs rampant. All those people are rich and they want to stay rich. That's why the sanctions that we put on them hit them so hard. They want to be able to spend their laundered money in the West, which, you know, cries at the problems and the fact that a dictatorial or authoritarian type government never takes care of its people because it's too busy taking care of itself. It's too busy paying off everybody. Russia should be a part of the European group. It should be, matter of fact, it might probably even, join NATO or something. but not as long as the corruption goes as long as it does. Between the Russian mob and the mob that's running the country, Russians are not having as good a life as they could. They could have a lot better life. But they're getting gaslighted and snowed, and Trump got on the TV and wrote that he wrote this whole supposed history of Ukraine, which claims that Ukraine was created by Moscow, which is a load of horse hockey, because Kiev in the Ukraine was there before Moscow. And they're all descendants of Viking settlers who came up the rivers. I don't know how long it was, but it was so full of false history. As I said, Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, was there before Moscow, but he's claiming Moscow, the Russians, created the free Ukraine country that it is. And they didn't. They were here. They were there second, not first. You know, he's saying the Ukrainians are brothers, and he's misquoting history. And what is he doing? He's sending arms and crap into the separatists in the areas in eastern Ukraine and building them up. And now what has he done? He sent Russian soldiers in to back them up. Now, if Ukraine as a country tries to recapture those areas, it's got to go to war with Russia. And Russia will say, look, they started the war. That's the whole deal here. This is the same crap that we put up with Hitler. Only with Hitler, the West did not respond when they should have. They did not respond right in the beginning. Maybe they should have responded with larger sanctions in 2014 when Russia grabbed Crimea. It'll be a sad state of affairs if we allow Ukraine to fall when we're the ones that convinced them to get rid of their nuclear weapons and that we would protect them if something happened. Well, we did, and we ain't. Oh, we're sending them supplies and missiles and stuff. But we're not going to get in a war with the Russians. That's for sure. The Ukrainians, I'd be scared too. One of my nurses during my cancer treatment was a Ukrainian. We got an interesting discussion of what would you have done if you were 16 years old? Here come the Germans. The Russians had been starving people. Stalin's programs had been starved. Millions died in the Ukraine from his policies. And so when the Germans came, they welcomed them, not knowing that the Germans were going to kill them too, because they wanted growing room for the German people. So a lot of them guys sided with the Germans until they realized what the Germans were doing with the Nazis. So now there's a history of Ukrainians being Nazis. But if you were there at the time and you understood what was going on, what the hell choice did they have? Excuse me. I mean, what choice do they have? They don't have a choice. They have to fight. They have to protect their democracy and their freedom. But dictatorships do not want a democracy on their border. That's the last thing they want. Part of the reason that the wall had to be built was because people liked it better on the west side than they did on the east. And my understanding right now is you can't leave Russia. What? There is no freedom in that country. And if you complain about your freedom, you'll end up dead. Putin's a killer. He kills his political enemies. There's no doubt about that. Now, they ain't doing forced labor re-education camps like the Chinese are doing to Uyghurs. But they'll definitely take you if you step out of line. And all you got to do to step out of line is say your honest opinion. And if your honest opinion disagrees with what they think it should be, kiss your butt goodbye, because that's what'll happen. Now, this time we're standing up. Maybe we should have stood up a little harder in 2014, like I said. But now we're standing up. And we got to save the harshest sanctions for the last. You don't want to blow your wad right in the beginning and then have nothing left to argue with them about. But we cannot allow this to stand. I don't know what, I'm not in charge, but we cannot allow it to stand. And the worst part of all of it is Republicans are sitting there echoing Donald Trump's claim that Putin is a genius. Putin is not a genius. He's a killer dictator. You get in his way, you will be dead. It's as simple as that. And we have these Republican legislators and Putin all sitting there talking about what a wonderful guy Putin is. The Republican legislators. Are they out of their minds? I thought the Republican Party loved democracy. Apparently they don't. Because if they did, they wouldn't be siding with Putin. They would be siding with the West and freedom and democracy. They tried to destroy our democracy. Trump and his fellow co-conspirators, many of them Republicans and many of them Republican legislators. I don't know how we can do this. One party wants to keep the country going, preserve democracy, spread freedom. The other wants to kill freedom in our own country. An attempted coup to overturn the election and keep Trump in power. That's treason. I'm sorry. It's treason. It's the definition of treason. So go ahead, keep electing them, you guys. And when your democracy's gone, then go ahead and do a double bend and kiss your butt goodbye, because that's it. Oh, everything will look the same, but you won't elect your leaders, and they won't be responsible to you. And this leads right into all the gerrymandering and voter suppression. What? So the Republicans can maintain power, and gain power, and do what? Turn us over to the fucking dictators. Sorry. Turn us over to the dictators? Is that what? Become a dictator himself? That's what he wants to do. That's why he admires all these strong men. Strong men are not strong men if they don't have other men around them keeping them there. Trump would be gone were it not for the support of the Republican Party, which means the Republican Party supports ending our democracy and turning it into a dictatorship. Now, you may think that's extreme. What other outcome would there be? Right now, they're putting Republican operatives in trying to get elected to the election commissions and stuff. So they can do what? Make sure the election goes the way they want to. Trump said, I did it in one of my shows, we have to get rid of the ballots. The hell is he talking about, get rid of the ballots? Getting rid of the ballots ends our democracy. We might as well just hand the keys over to Putin. Now, we're doing the right thing this time. We're standing up and we're fighting back. But I honestly believe we're not going to get a direct fighting war with Russia, but we're definitely going to support the Ukraine while they're fighting the Russians. This is whole, he's got 180,000 troops and blood and hospitals and stuff, and you don't have that stuff unless you're actually going to war. Not unless you're actually going to war. There's millions of people in the capital city of Kiev. What, are they going to go kill them all? Our intelligence says there's a list of politicians and political leaders that they're going to get rid of the minute they take over the country. It's as serious can be. And we're doing the right thing with standing up. But it looks like we're going to have to do more. I mean, I knew it the minute Putin took office, that little spurt of Russian democracy was dead. And alcoholism killed it. Yeltsin's alcoholism disabled him enough that when the time came, he couldn't do anything about it. He had to turn it over. And they turned it over to Putin. And now he's there for another 26 years, last I heard. That ain't a democracy. and the Duma ain't a legislature. It's just a sign-off sheet. I'm going to do this. Okay. This is as serious can get. And all you wimps out there, when things get a little rough because we're trying to fight this battle, when you can't get enough of something or whatever people complain about, and their petty complaints, it's going to be tough. Doing these sanctions are going to hurt us too. But it has to be done. And, you know, you're not actually going to war, so a little bit of sacrifice ain't going to hurt. But when I think about the simple sacrifice of wearing a mask and how nobody would, that's against my freedom. Bull. What's against your freedom is the part of the Republican Party that wants to overturn our democracy and go kiss Vladimir Putin's rear end. That's the sad part. And that's the part we need to be most fearful of. It's like Goldwater said, these nuts get in charge of the government, look out. Y'all need to be paying attention. This is big, and it could get a hell of a lot bigger. So stay on your toes and pay attention. And we'll see you next time, huh? As far as the cancer goes, I had a treatment last Sunday. I got a treatment the 6th, a treatment the 13th. I see the doc, and then I might be done. Who knows? We'll find out then. I'll let you know. Y'all have a good time. Bye.
Hi, I'm Willie Nelson, and the Willie Nelson Teapot Party and I endorse Veterans for Medical Cannabis Access.
Just roll me up and smoke me when I die.